to become known. Go places and sing. Our audience is not in our rehearsal space. Our audience is out there. And if we are only marketing to families and friends, I hate to say it, our audience is dying around us. You know, in my case, I'd love to see some younger singers in our chapter. 40 to me is younger. To somebody else, you know, I need those 20-year-olds, but whatever it is. Richard Giles, you had your hand up.
It was sort of tentative. Speaking of reaching out, and we live in a fishing/logging community as well as retirement and vacation. Just yesterday, quartet I'm in, we were approached by the National Science Foundation to perform at retirement, one of the very long time research vessels, which we were able to in a month. We got 6 weeks, got a couple of sea shanties together and actually performed for them yesterday, and very well received. Trying to reach out, a lot of community members were there as well, and were approached by some of them didn't know about the chorus, didn't know about this, that were interested. But it was just an act of it's a lot of social media. People I know that worked there knew I just happened due to raising kids here and all that, happened to know we sang, and can you guys do this? And it just happened. The timing was right. But being out in the community, like you said, outside of the chorus rehearsal area, get out and see what the community's got. Like I said, we're really pretty big on fishing and maritime stuff here, Coast Guard included. So that's something that we're slowly getting back to. We had in the past, and slowly trying to get back out.
If you haven't seen the movie Fisherman's Friends, be sure and check that out. It's called The Fisherman's Friends.
Yeah, I think I have.
It's cool. The other thing is that when you're out and about, what's your invitation for them to either come to your show, or what's your invitation to come to a rehearsal? You need to think about that. James.
Yes, I'm kind of curious as well. One, are you performing with masks on? And two, are you finding facilities that will accept outside groups to come in relatively easy now? Or we're still in a quasi mask down area, and our chorus, which has also had 2 or 3 members who contacted COVID, but we're singing with masks on yet. And presumably most of the places, for example, the Legion or seniors residence, would require us to do so as well. Are you finding that in those performances you folks are doing?
Karen and then Richard.
We stopped requiring vaccines and masks, making both optional. I think it was 6 weeks ago. And our first performance that we did out, we had to wear masks. But this one today, we don't have to. And the majority of the chorus does not wear them during rehearsal. And we haven't had, as far as we know, and we track, we write down everyone that's there every week. We have not had a case be spread via Harmony Kings that we're aware of. People have gotten it, but they've gotten it other places and then stayed away. Okay. So it has, in our particular area, in the Tacoma Federal Way area, it hasn't been a problem.
Go to Richard.
Yeah, during Valentine's, our first outing during COVID, we did sing with masks on, and a lot of our singing Valentine's we did were outside. Our chorus rehearsals, we go by the guidelines of our venue, which is the local Presbyterian church, and they went mask optional, and our board decided that while we're not singing, we can leave our mask optional. However, when we're singing, when rehearsing, we are requiring masks because you're projecting more, and we are closer than 6 feet for sure. And we are also at this time requiring vaccines, proof of vaccine to sing, and it's deterred no one yet for us. And we've had quite a growth for a town of about 11,000 people. We've picked up I don't know how many we've picked up, Jim. 5 or 6 folks. We've really new folks. We may have lost 1 or 2, but not due to COVID. And we've had no COVID outbreaks in the chorus that we're aware of. So I think we're doing okay. And yesterday was the first performance that our quartet did, our quartet did, without masks. We were distanced probably almost 20 feet from the audience, from the stage. And so we felt comfortable doing that.
Okay, I'd like to, I want to try and get through at least one more P before we get there, and time is starting to go short. Derek, you're first, and then James.
Yeah, okay. Steve Stripling made a comment when he was on there. Before you market it, fix it. And I just wanted to see what he had, if he's still on here, what he had to say about that, because we've just started again, and with a dozen members, and picking up all the pieces and putting the voices and parts back together. And we just said we couldn't go out and market and do anything right now because we're not at a place that's good enough to go on the street. So how did they do that, or was that just a comment?
Yeah, earlier. We don't practice what we preach here. We just, our job, as Greg will tell you, our job is just to get them in the door. Your job is to quell their anger when they find out it wasn't exactly true what we told them. I'm gonna pause here because my wife is gonna walk behind me. I told her it's blurred, but she says make sure it's turned off. So if you see 2 people running out the room, let the first one go. We're focusing on music. I really like the idea of somebody saying the Zoom or COVID allowed us to step back, because prior to COVID, or you want to pass by? Time out. I'll keep talking. And this is brought to you by, okay, it is now, coast is clear. Anyway, thank you. The Midnight Suns were dying when I came back up. I mean, we were just losing people. And my background is advertising and marketing, and our job is to move metrics forward. I don't care if it's selling toilet paper or politicians or members. And so I come from the standpoint of we talk about, so what's going to get people excited about coming to be with us? Why should they join us? Why should they give up what they're doing to join us? And my experience, one of the things I learned about being around the vocal majority and Tim around TNT and Phil Cheeseborough, our director, being around Gotham and the different courses back east, is the better we sang, the more fun people had. And we're talking about regular barbershoppers. We're just talking about regular barbershoppers. And the more charismatic the director is, the more they grew, things like that. The problem is when the director leaves, if it's all based on the director, then we see it die. So what we started looking at was what the vocal majority did was they've got a lot of music educators. And one of our long-term goals is to eventually establish a barbershop chorus over at the University of Alaska. And so that's a long-term goal. So we're saying, how do we get there? And so we're taking music arrangements that any of you guys could sing in your chorus, happy together, stuff. I mean, things I saw Gentleman of Fortune do it when Tom Metzger was directing. But we're working on singing them better, and we're taking process where we're turning in training recordings to our director. He's giving us feedback, and it's all lined out. we're really planned ahead. So that's where our focus is right now, and we're doing it little by little. We're not trying to, if even bad advertising works. So our approach is we can tell before we go out in the public what we're going to focus on, and when we go out, we want to be, if it's singing for the officers, we want to have our act together with what we're wearing. We're very planned out now. And the guys who were, we just sort of talked in chorus and never learned our music outside the chorus, little things like that, we're changing that. And the difference is in a year, it's amazing the difference. And that's given our guys confidence to go out and invite people. But the other thing we're working on right now, before we invite people, when I said before you market it, fix it, is if somebody, we've had so many people come to our chapter after we went out and sang, and we had no process for, you know, how it, you know, what do we do with them once we got them? Or like Karen did, follow up, always calling them, because they'll come the first time and then they start, there's a diminished return. So our VP is going, hey, thanks a lot, Jerry, for coming. We really enjoyed seeing you, and how'd you like it? You know, that kind of stuff. So, you know, it's like Greg talks about the elephant a bite at the time, but we're establishing a process of how we do things that, and one of the suggestions I was going to have for you guys is to share with you what we're doing, sort of take you behind the scenes, what we're doing, trying to build a chapter. And we have less than 730,000 people in the entire state. And so, you know, we're working with the same challenges, COVID, the whole bit, but we're trying to establish systems and processes. So if a director leaves, we're not heavily impacted. We have something that is solid. And finally, what I would say is the thing that makes the vocal majority successful is they are consistent. You know what you're going to get at rehearsal. You know what you're going to get, you know, the process of joining. They've got a rookie program. It's all consistent and can take little guys like me. And, you know, I just watched it all the time. And that's the same thing Tim Tillman experienced with TNT and Phil Cheesebro. So I'll just keep you guys posted on the little things we're doing from our website, our Facebook, our Meetup app, you know, internally, and just sort of share things periodically as our growth. But we have like a 2-year plan ahead. Okay,
I would this meeting and the previous meeting, which by the way is recorded if you want to watch the previous meeting, has really I thought I was going to be talking about how to gain audience and how to go out, and the conversation is continually coming back to how do we get more members and how do we get ourselves out there. Well, the one way to get more members is to have a plan, build a plan, try the plan, modify the plan, and if it doesn't work, discard it and start all over again. You have 365 days a year to develop a plan that works, but you've got to have everybody's got to buy in. Because of the previous meeting, Steve was involved in that one, and a couple of other guys. We started talking separately, and that's why I sent you guys. That's why I sent you the roster, because you now have contacts within other chapters that you can rely on and you can look at and stuff like that. But I built out of my head a little flip book, which is now in your chat. And it's a step-by-step. Step 1, do this. Step 2, do this. Step 3, do this. Step 4, do that. Step 5, do the other thing. And try to give real-world explanations as to something that you can try. It's not foolproof. It's not perfect, but it is something to give you some thoughts to go behind. The reason that I sent you the documentation about VP as a leader within your community is because most VPs of marketing are passive. They're not proactive, and they wait to be told what it is when they should be actually involved in helping to make the decisions on how much to charge and why are we going to charge this and all this kind of stuff. And your members, you also have to think about what's the benefit for their cost. I come in, I drive 20 minutes to get to rehearsal and 20 minutes to go home. There's 40 minutes on the road. That's part of my cost of being a barbershopper. I invest 2.5 hours at a rehearsal. It better be something that makes me excited to come back the next Tuesday, because if it's not, I probably won't. I probably will not enjoy it, or I will leave, or I will just dissipate. You have to have some kind of plans. This is one that helps. I want to show you, if I remember how to share my screen, and if I can find the silly thing. Oh, there it is. I want to show you the marketing page on the evergreendistrict.com website. So this is my baby. This is my page. So there's an introduction to me to tell you who I am and a little bit about it. The video that we started watching and looking at the time, we're not going to be able to finish the other two parts of this thing, but that whole video is here and you can look at it. There's also a link for product, price, place, and promotion, which gives it to you in simple terms. There are monthly articles in here. So for instance, January, I was suggesting that we start the planning season. We identify our features and our benefits. We think outside the box.
Mm-hmm.
We start talking about our digital game and how are we approaching digital? Do you have any natural tie-ins into your, any natural tie-ins? Do you have businesses that you can tie into to help you promote your shows or promote your chapter at large? And looks like my link is, there it is. Also, I told you that for the first part of the video that we did watch, I told you that you didn't have to take notes. That's because in the toolbox is every question that I ask in the video. And this is designed to help you figure out what is your product, what is your price, what is your place, what is your promotion, who's buying it, what kind of information do you need to know about your customer? Because the reason that we study our product is so that we understand how the current customer uses our product and the ideal customer, the ones that we want, how they can be acted to it, and what that customer behavior is toward our product, which helps us figure out where to promote it. In May, you guys already have seen May, but in May, I also included it as a flip book. So if you don't like reading PDFs, you can take a look at it that way. And this is just a free one, so it's not really as conducive as I would like it to be, because I'm only allowed to have 3 flip books at a time. And I see that I'm still sharing. So there is a bunch of stuff on the website, and a lot of it is what we're talking about right now. And I've just done this, and some of this is real world. I took a look at the Barbershop Harmony Society's website, which is difficult to maneuver, and I found out what they had about marketing, and what they had was a lot of generic stuff. You guys need to deal with your chapter and your community. You know your chapter, you know your members, you know your singing community, you know your actual community. And so it's very important that you guys sit down and talk about this and come up with a plan. And my job is to try and give you advice on how to get there. I discovered probably in April from talking around that I was writing a whole bunch of stuff that nobody was seeing, that nobody was reading. And I didn't know whether I was answering questions that weren't being asked or if I was actually answering questions that were being asked. One of the reasons for these 2 meetings is to try and encourage you to go to the website and read what I've done and take a look at it and see if it helps you. The other reason for these meetings was so that I could get a sense of what you guys are going through, so I know where I can do some research and I can take a look at maybe what you're dealing with and what you're going through right now. And so this thing in the chat box, that's a lot of that's the direction I'm trying to go. I'm trying to make it so you guys have something to think about. The other thing that I want you to know is that I'm available. I'm not working, and because of COVID, I'm currently not singing with a chorus. I have health concerns within my family, and I can't afford to be anywhere where I get sick. So I'm basically home all the time. So you can call me, you can write me, and I'd be more than happy to do one-on-ones with you or your chapter or whatever. Anything that I can do to help. My goal is to help you be successful. And when I heard Gentleman of Fortune was down to 12, and I heard that other chapters are down to 15, and that's because they grew by 3, I really, really want to be there. So I am passionate about helping you. So take advantage of that as you can.
Excuse me, Greg, David has had his hand up for a while.
All right. I'm glad you said. Oh, and by the way, I want to introduce Lynn. She's the meeting monitor. She had an issue and came late, but she's now here. And she'll track time for us. And she'll also tell us that David had his hand up for a long time.
All right, thanks. Yeah, I just wanted to mention that it's a little bit past now, but a couple things. One is that we're talking about members and you were talking about audience. And at least for us in the past, we found that that's one of our best membership drives is trying to meet people after we do a show. As we go out into the audience and we try and make it sort of an assignment. All the course members go out and shake hands. And you never know because you may be, shaking hands with a college student, a male or female, and then they have friends and all of a sudden they know somebody who would like to sing in a men's chorus and you've got somebody. So there are all kinds of things that happen that way and we find it a really good to just keep in mind. And the other thing I wanted to mention is that talking about Karen, I think it was brought it up, what are the singing conditions? And I was just going to quickly say that I'd be possibly negligent if I didn't mention, and hopefully you've all seen it, that Vocal Summit does have a show next weekend, Saturday. And so if anybody's paying attention to the Evergreen green sheet and stuff like that, hopefully you've seen that and know about it. PDX Voices and Vocal Summit are in the same chapter, and we're doing a joint show in Northeast Portland at Alberta Abbey. So just wanted to mention that.
Yeah, and we scrambled. There was it didn't make it onto the Evergreen district calendar for whatever reason. And so there's been a lot of scrambling. So some of you presidents in the I-5 corridor and in Oregon got an email from me reminding you of the show. So James, go ahead.
Yeah, okay. One of the things I was going to mention, and I know many of you have done this, and this is business cards, which I make up. So when we do a performance, for example, on the business card will be our addresses, our all the rest of the sort of stuff where we meet, and the rest of the center contact phone numbers as well as the website. I also do this and make them up for the members with a chorus picture on it that they can have with them all the time, and then just pass them out to anybody they talk to who might be interested. And just one more quick little thing. I'm a retired military photographer with public relations for 25 years and another 20 years as a photographer with a newspaper. So what I'm talking about is news hooks. And I know that Facebook and Google and all the rest of this sort of stuff are taking a major part now, but there's nothing that really quite beats in many ways is a little bit of a play in your local newspaper and or television. And so if you've got some event, even like, for example, singing for the Legion members or singing in the hospitals, which we do, I invite a member of the media. I don't invite all of them, and we have about 8 or 9 here within our city of different types. So just to do that, and we've got pretty good publicity as a result of that, but those business cards are really good.
We used to hand out I made sure that all of the members had a trifold brochure, which talked about our performance and our rehearsals and that type of thing. We had business cards. I think Harmony Kings now is wandering around with badges wherever they go, and helping out. What he's holding up for the Senate heirs is that's the type of thing. But you have to be prepared, and you don't do that on the spur of the moment. I became the singing Valentine's chairman for Harmony Kings for 2 years. The very first year, and I think this is indicative of all chapters, the very first year I said, I'm going to do this for 2 years and then I'm done. We finished up the first year. We had a successful run. We learned from our mistakes. We made some changes. I was there for the second one. I announced several times at that second one that this is my last year. I'm not going to be the Singing Valentine's chair next year. This is how many times you have to say stuff to get people to pay attention. So year number 3 comes around, and I'm contacted on February 1st about, are we doing Singing Valentine's this year? And the answer was, if you're going to do it, yeah, but it's not me. I have laid the groundwork, and we know how to do it. We later changed it. We put together a Singing Valentine committee. Anybody got a guess as to when they started their work? October of the previous year. We started building our quartets in November. I was the president by this time. We had a Singing Valentine committee. That committee was shadowed by, we had 3 people on the committee. They were shadowed by 3 people. The 3 people that were the shadows became the committee for the next year, so that you didn't have to do it. So we were training them how to go forward with it. But what is indicative is the number of chapters that go, oh, we have a show in 2 weeks. Maybe we should do something about it. The planning, the planning, the planning. One other experience that I had with Harmony Kings is our vice president of music was the one that conned me into being the vice president of marketing. And he and I were talking one day, and he said, you know what I want to do? I want to plan our annual shows further out. So he invited members of the chapter to get together, and we developed 4 years of concert themes or show themes. I wrote one of them. Another guy stepped up, and he enjoyed writing, and he did writing for it. And we had our show teams met every 3rd Tuesday of the month. They met all year. And the next committee was in the process of forming. One of the most delightful things I ever had as a chapter president, I walked into we had a board meeting. I walked into the board meeting. The board meeting was here. Singing Valentine's was meeting down the hall, and the show team was meeting across the hall. All those meetings were going on at the same time. There was so much energy, but it takes every member of the leadership to get people excited. But if you just go, it's February 1st, are we going to do Valentine's this year? That decision needs to be made a lot longer. And that's that whole thing that I showed you in January that's talked about the planning season. We, as barbershoppers, don't plan far enough in advance, and I firmly believe that. So get people excited about what they're doing, and think about the whole thing. I think, remember, I thought I saw a hand up. Oh, there, it was Karen.
Well, I don't know if anyone mentioned this yet, but about having like jackets. Everyone have jackets for their chorus, because that's been a big advertising thing. Now we're in the process of getting T-shirts. We already have baseball hats, and so between that and the badges and the cards, we pretty much advertise a lot in the community with those things. I just wanted to recommend that if you don't already have it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we for a while when I was there, every Tuesday was chorus uniform day, and we encourage people to do their normal shopping in their chorus shirts and things like that. But let's talk about what I talked about, the marketing plan, the 4 Ps, and I'll go over those very quickly. Products. That's the first thing. We study product to understand how customers use us and determine what channels of communication we're going to use to reach them. We use price to encourage people to buy our product, because price can also be a deterrent.